Good link. Right, off you, please.
Thank you very much. There's a video that I have as part of the presentation. I'm hoping it will just play in over the thing, but I'm going to put a link to it in the chat here just in case it doesn't. So there that is, but hopefully all should be well. Just find my presentation. Okay, so yes, my name's David Penny. I'm an artist. I primarily work with photography. I'm from the Manchester School of Art, from the School of Digital Arts at MMU, Manchester Metropolitan University. I'd just like to thank Graham and the organisers of EVA for selecting my paper for the conference. I'm really happy to share some elements of my sort of recent and ongoing project, which is titled The Fallen Line of Marble Drums. I'm sorry I can't be there in person today. I do hope the connection's okay. I'm actually currently away at the Arles Photography Festival exhibiting some of the pieces from the project, and I'm in the gallery at the moment, so I'm hoping that this will all go okay and the remote presentation will work effectively. So yes, there we go. So A Fallen Line of Marble Drums is an ongoing interdisciplinary artistic research project, and developed within the context of expanded approaches to photographic art practice. And it considers alternative ways of working with photography, photographs, and the notions of the photographic, and incorporating digital technologies such as 3D scanning, digital animation, and 3D printing as research methods, as practice-based research methods for making artworks for exhibition outputs. This slide shows a small selection of the works from the project that have been developed really since I started working in 2018. And here we're looking at a range of different media output from traditionally made and manipulated graphs through to sort of 3D scans and exhibition documentation of 3D print, and also a screen-based installation both in Athens and in Manchester. So the focus of this project is located in Athens, in Greece, and it's specifically around a ruined Corinthian column that is part of the ancient temple of the Olympian Zeus. And this is a popular tourist site right in the center of the city. And the column was destroyed in a little documented hurricane in 1852. And it was knocked over by a storm and remains on the ground to this day with its drums stacked in a line along the ground. And to the left of this slide, we can see a photograph from the Benaki Museum archives made in 1851, before the storm took place. And the fallen column is still standing in this image. It remains standing, and it is the central of the small group of three to the left-hand side. In the right image, and a much later photograph, the column can be seen lined up along the ground, pretty much as it is today. I've included a screenshot here of a 3D model made by Athens-based company Panamedia, which is available on Sketchfab. And this enables a really kind of handy, actually, navigable experience of the site, produced through photogrammetry. And there's a link here, and you could have a look through this and through using the link for further reference and context of the location if you'd like to have a look at that. The columns form and material and event, and the event of the storm has been used as a starting point within the research methodology, and digital and analog works have unfolded from this point of departure and address a contemporary extreme weather event that by chance occurred the day that I first visited the site. And this paper briefly introduces two works made as part of this larger project. The first is a digital animation installation titled Pentelic Scarfs. And this is modeled around a snapshot photograph made in Athens, and also a set of digitally constructed images titled Firma. And these have been quite a new process for me, and something I'm working on at the moment, and they've been made through the layering of LiDAR scans captured across different multiple sites that are relevant to the project. One second, just get a quick drink of water. So the timing of my first visit to the temple site on the 23rd of July 2018 coincided with a tragic day in the Attica region. Around that day, an erratic winds swept through the streets, and I was also aware of an ominous sort of purple-pink haze that was dominating the sky and remained for the duration of the day. And I subsequently learned later of the wildfires that had rapidly swept through the region and the coastal town of Mati. And the fires had also started in a location to the north of Athens, in an area called Penteli, also where Mount Penteli, where the origin of the marble quarry for the temple comes from. So following this event, this terrible event, and within the context of my experiments with digital imaging systems, I sought to develop works that would make a connection between the event of the storm in 1852 and the event of the wildfires in 2018. And these distinct events are placed alongside one another in order to ask how such a practice might contribute to dialogues around the increase in frequency of extreme weather events brought about through the global climate crisis, and that seemed to be particularly prevalent in the southern Mediterranean. The project looks back to the event of the storm in 1852 and proposes the ruins of the Corinthian column as a cipher or a symbolic representation of the threats posed by these increasing weather events. And I think it's also important here to say that the works in the project have unfolded over time, sort of leading into one sort of leading into and informing the next. It started in 2018, and I'm actually returning to Athens next Monday to follow up some conversations and hopefully meet some archaeologists and to continue some working processes. And this tends to be the way that I work on projects, sort of work's being collated and curated from a. So Pentelic Scarfs is a 3-screen digital animation installation. It's modeled on a photograph, this photograph. And my experiences of the day in Athens the image is of a tourist display stand of silk scarves, and that was completely unintentionally at the time made using when I'd got a new iPhone and I didn't realize its full capabilities, this iPhone live photo mode, which I think we're much more familiar with now. Later revealing the movement and the scarves kind of caught in the flowing winds. And there were other images, still images that I made during the day that also contributed to the development of the ideas for the work. So reflecting on the image and learning of the impact of the winds and the consequent fires led to the creation of the animation. And the 3D software Maya was used to create a virtual version of the stand with individual textured cloth elements rendered using a directional wind simulation to create interactive collision events between the model scarves. The piece is made as a memory of that day and presented in the gallery on screens that are supported by a custom scaffold structure and freestanding in open space. Its appearance perhaps resembling a cenotaph of sorts. The installation offers a kind of a contemplative experience. The animation can be moved around and viewed from different angles and orchestrated, so synchronized interactions of the scarves across the screens can just about be perceived as the animation plays through. The next slide, I can move on to it, is this video link. So I'm just going to come out of my presentation and just see if I can play this. Is everybody still there? This is quite it's hard to know. Are you seeing the Vimeo link? No. Let's try this. Sorry about this.
Okay, so wait. Where should I do?
Okay. Okay, I think we might have to move past that. Sorry about that. So the work is a digital visualization and evidently not a photograph in the way that the snapshot it was derived from is. However, the work contains elements that are found in traditional photographs. Modeling software is increasingly used in commercial still life work, taking the place of images made in real studios, with the resulting images perceived and questioned by their audience as photographs. Pentelic Scarves iconically resembles its referent display stand, as well as being a more sort of fluid version of the fluted marble column, but also looks back and recollects a memory of the day's events. And Sarah Kember quotes, memory in the abstract exists somewhere between the particular subject who remembers and the particular object that stimulates the resemblance. Further processes using LiDAR scanning technology have been developed to make digital collage works. These have been made more recently during a residency at Soneta in Athens in November 2021. These experimental pieces synthesize 3D scans of landscape elements taken in different locations that are relevant to the project, combining them with within a singular virtual environment using the software Blender. Elements are composed in a three-dimensional space, and the results are rendered and framed through a virtual camera as impossible imaginative landscape, noise, or glitches produced through the process though on at first glance appear as apparently traditional perspectival photographs. The locations used to capture the 3D scans are the Temple of Zeus, the ancient quarry site at Mount Penteli, and the town of Mati. And that concludes my presentation. There's some more of the work is forthcoming in this journal publication through Membrana Photographic Journal. So just want to add that link on there. Very much. Can't seem to hear anyone. I think that I can see that I can't hear anyone at the moment. I think they seems to be muted, perhaps. It's better. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Loud.
Okay, all right. Sorry, slight glitch at this end. I do apologise for that. Has anyone got a question that they'd like to ask David? Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Do enjoy all. If you
Yes,
come across something called Speos School, I helped them to set up their London school doing master's courses. So drop in, mention my name, and
I will
they'll either give you a glass of wine or they'll say something terrible.
Speos Square. Okay, thanks.
Yes, do see if Pierre-Yves Mar is there. He's the director. So, okay, I've not really got very much more to say because in between various speakers, I told you a bit about how the research workshop works. But do look out for future victims, not victims. What's the word I want? Yes, workshop delegates. That's the word I want for me. And similarly, anyone out there online, we're very happy to have people come in from abroad. We will no doubt run EVA in a hybrid mode with people all over the world and people sitting here in London many years to come. There aren't many great goodies that you can say have come out of this bloody pandemic. But that is certainly one of them. So now I'm going to pass over to Nick to do a final conference summing up for us. And then there will be a little glass of wine for those who would like it before they go home. There's also some nice fruit bits and pieces out there. Sorry for you folks at home, we can't share it down the line.
Okay. Great, well, thank you very much. So firstly, it's been great to be back in person after 3 years. Certainly for me, I think, I can't believe 2019 was now so far away. It seems like it was only yesterday. And, you know, being in this new space still feels quite new again, even despite the lapse of 3 years. And I think one of the key themes that's run through the entire conference has been the metaverse and its various forms. And I think that we've seen a number of very interesting applications of that right up to today, and to its use in museums, in sort of new ways of telling, sort of showing narratives, new ways of engagement. But also bespeaks a way that we could inhabit physical space and have that sort of virtual overlay as well. I think the more that we can understand how the two forms can intersect with each other. We've had also two very engaging research workshops today as well. One was very much focused on physical forms and indeed objects with memories attached to them, and you know, sort of that sort of inherent objects, you know, sort of object nature must be sort of preserved in some way, because those things is intangible and tangible memories could attach themselves, as we've seen, in the importance of objects in the cultural sphere and their location in the world is also of great import too. But beyond that, we've been looking very much through our you know, our varied keynotes. I was thinking especially of Charlie on Wednesday, looking at the nature of memes and the mimetic transfer in the world that we now inhabit, and the ways that in fact that shapes our perception very strongly. But also that, you know, the interconnectivity we enjoy can also perhaps be a source of something destructive as well. That in fact it's you know, that very source of information can also shape our understanding to our detriment at times. We have to filter those things, find out ways to actually not merely sort of accept what we read, but also find ways to understand, to critically observe, critically dissect what we see. And I think that's you know, sort of also comes into very much the talk we had yesterday as well from Birgitta Hosea, with her cross section of modern digital art, which was obviously sort of both looking at Chinese media art and also you know, some Western practitioners also who are sort of looking at those very questions, and the need, I think, to engage in that dialogue. And the fact that, you know, our physical location again becomes very important even in this interconnected world, and how we actually sort of understand our relations across the globe, and really sort of find ways to understand that cultural perception. And I think how we encode that, and how that sort of encoding informs the tools that we then develop, and how those tools can then be you know, not used just simplistically, but also used with a sense of purpose and understanding of their origins, which I think also informed quite a few papers about sustainability and the environment, the impacts that all of our tools have, especially in terms of the cloud and its hidden costs and the way that works. So bringing all those things together, I think through the art shows that we're hosting currently with Flux, also the Computer Art Society's launch event on Monday as well, very much about the archive, and very much about looking at the history of this event, the history of computer art more generally, and really how perhaps going forward EVA can take those histories and form from them something which actually informs now the contemporary practice. You know, I'd like nothing more than by those things becoming available for people then to actually take some of the concepts that were current 50, 60 years ago, just as computer art, and indeed the British Computer Society itself started up, that so we should take those concepts and do something in the now with them, and not just have them sitting somewhere in a sort of dusty room, but actually to have those as live topics of conversation. Because even back then, the potential costs of data, the surveillance state and other things were even then sort of beginning to be talked about just as databases and other things are in their sort of nascent form. Now all those things have become very relevant and very, sort of great moments right now as we try to understand our identities as they're reflected online, and also the way that data is gathered around us. So artists, as always, as has been said, the artist is the antennae of the race, and basically artists have been there first, and we must encourage that prospecting, as it were, into the future to understand the sort of causes and catastrophes in the present. So on that note, I think Eva has been very thought-provoking this year. I think we need to sort of keep that sort of critical challenge in mind and understand where we go next. Thank you.